Alrighty, what is going on, ladies and gents? Welcome back to the channel for another market update. Hope everybody is having a lovely day. And with that being said, let's dive into the TA. All right, guys, we're going to kick things off here with SPY. We're going to go over the indices. We're going to go over the Mag 7 stocks. We got the semiconductors, and then we're going to go over the sector that I think we should be focusing on right now. And then I got some trade ideas for you at the end of the video. I do think the overall market is going to be moving back up over the next 1 to 2 weeks. So most likely, most of the tickers that you're paying attention to, they're going to be moving up. But the trade ideas that I'm going to point out, I think these are going to be performing better than others, and you can keep them on your radar because of that. All right, SPY. We did close out today with a bullish engulfing candlestick. We did indeed put in the bottom. Yes, I mean, you know, we're going to have to see what happens. Let's see how we close out the week. But I'm 95% sure the bottom is in for right now over the next 1 to 2 weeks. And we're going to see this move back up to around 600. I'm not saying that's exactly what goes down. I'm telling you that that is what I was thinking yesterday when we printed the candlesticks we did yesterday. And that is kind of what I am confirming today. SPY on the upside, we're watching 585.39, 590.49. 594.72, and then we have 498.51, and that is going to be right above your 0.618 Fibonacci retracement. On the downside is support. All right, if you want a level to pay attention to tomorrow, if we don't, just gap up over here, we're watching 579.90 and then 575.35. Now, if you come back down to 575.35, probably gonna put a new low. You are probably gonna come down here and tap this 200 DMA. It doesn't always have to be tested perfectly. It's never, nothing in the stock market's ever going to be perfect. But we got pretty darn close to it. And if we do pull back here, all right, if you get a sell before the bounce we're talking about, either way, this is a scenario here that we're going to be paying attention to. You're going to undercut this low, and you're going to test that bad boy right there. And I think you get a bounce from that right underneath the 200. I think it's going to be something similar to what we had over here. Get the bounce right above it, get buyers. You get a decent sized move. All right, a 4% bounce, and then you sell down below it. And then you get buyers stepping in when everybody thinks the world is ended. I'm just going to tell you right now with how things are shaping up, we're going to have to see how the week closes out here. But we have a lot of tickers, putting in weekly reversal candlesticks, and these are pretty massive reversal candlesticks with what is going on here. All right, I'm just going to point out one right here. What the heck is that thing? All right, you print this. This is what happens before a run. What the heck is that thing? Again, you close out the week like this, 2 back-to-back weekly hammer candlesticks off of the 21 EMA, also the break and retest right here off of 638.40. Don't expect it to, just fade right away. I know everyone's really bearish. I've been seeing something on Twitter saying, we have the highest put volume we've had in like 2 years or 5 years. I think I just saw on Twitter. I'm not exactly sure. I don't always follow that stuff, but I'm just going to tell you right now, if you close out like this, and we know for a fact everyone's bearish. I know for a fact the vast majority of people are bearish, considering your boy over here, Henry, is the one who's usually bullish on the market. All right. And I was, I'm not going to say capitulating, but I was, I didn't know exactly if I was going to be right over there yesterday when you started, seeing the sky fall out. And then, you got buyers stepping in right off of the 200 DMA. But I thought we were even going to go a little bit lower. I'm not saying I thought the world was going to end, but I thought we were going to go a little bit lower and tap that 200 DMA. The fact that I was sitting there having these thoughts, that might be peak capitulation right there. So with how things are shaping up, I do think we're probably in store for a big old bounce. I'm not saying we get all the way back up here to highs, but this is definitely not something that suggests we're not going to begin back up the highs. 2 back-to-back big-ass weekly hammer candlesticks. Like, we're talking the wicks over here on each of them is a $30 wick. Give me an equivalent to the $30 wick, and you're back up here to 710. That's very close to all-time highs. This is on Meta. All right, I'm not saying the market's going back to all-time highs. I'm not saying that at all. But let's just come over here. Let's come over the NQ chart. I got a bunch of clutter over there on the QQ chart. Go point out for me where we see these lower wicks, and you just keep dying. Okay, typically you're building out a base before you have a decent rally, and this was over in your 2022 bear market. We have not had anything crazy like this happen. Over here, clear as day, break of structure. Over here, you're dancing right around the previous high. Yeah, I know you broke underneath the range over here. It wasn't the best look, but if you get a false breakdown, you somehow close the week up here near the top of the candlestick, hey, you're probably going to start moving back at least into the middle of the range, which is going to be it's going to be a ways away. So I know, everyone was ultra bearish there, and I know your boy likes to be a little early to the party, but I don't think there's anything really to be bearish on right now at the current point in time, and this bounce could be larger than you might expect. An example of your boy being early to the party. I gave you this one towards the bottom over here of this trend line. I gave you in this base over here, and now we're up here. You got the move, and then you faded, and then you got the move again. I do think this is heating up, but I'm also going to point out this chart. We're going to talk a little bit about this chart at the end of the video. This is that sector I was talking about that I think it's time to focus on here. These things are looking kind of crazy. We're going to talk about them. Coming back over here to SPY. I did not go over your... no, I did go over support and resistance over here. Moving on over here to QQQ. And I do think you're getting into the golden pocket on this move. On QQQ, your resistance is 503.28, 511.05, and 522.19. That is going to be right around the 0.618 fib. I think 520 is incoming. 515 to 520 is incoming in the short term. My personal opinion with how things are set up. On the downside, we have 499.70, 494.49, and then 489.38. You did have two back-to-back lower wicks over here off of the 200 DMA. So unlike SPY, you did come down and you did tag that 200 DMA. And I'm just going to give a little news flash. This is where long-term investors step back into things. They don't always get tagged there, but this is exactly where they like to bring your reactions, where they like to defend. Okay? Come back over here. Go back like that. And I'm just going to point out this. You have a triple bullish divergence here on the 4-hour RSI. It is presently there. We typically get these things when you're about to snap back. I'm not saying you have a crazy move like that or like that, but I am telling you these things only get put in when you have momentum to the downside waning and you are about to snap back. That is how that goes. You have a broadening bottom here. If you could take out that upper trend line, I think you can do some crazy things. I think you get that move to 515, 520 by next week. And also, if you break that trend line tomorrow, chances are you're going to have a decent Friday there or close, you're going to consolidate on Friday there. And you probably would close the week out around 510. That puts in a really sexy hammer candlestick off of the break and retest over here. I understand we got a lot of clutter. But right here, you already have buyers defending over here. You now have back-to-back weeks right here where buyers are defending. I know. Tariffs, they're being priced into the market. Well, what did we hear today? What did we find out? Tariffs pushed back a whole month. So the reason the market's been falling off a cliff for the past 2 weeks here is because these tariffs were supposed to hit yesterday. They did not hit yesterday. They actually got pushed back a month. That means spec capital is probably going to flow back into the market. That is exactly what we got going on today. I don't know what to tell you. It does look like we're about to rip. I don't want to sound like a perma bull any more than I already do. I don't. But that is definitely going to be the move, and we will reassess once price is up here. All right. We're going to come down to the 15-minute time frame. You could see right where price was consolidating here for about 2 hours. All right. From 2 o'clock up until close. You could solid right underneath your 503.28 resistance as well as your trendline resistance. That is the upper trend line of your broadening bottom formation, your descending broadening wedge or broadening bottom, whatever you want to call it, it's here. You also have a little double bottom action going on that I could draw out right here. Neckline 503, measure move $12. Where does that bring us? Oh, 515, you ask? Yes, 515. Moving over to IWM. What do we got over here, guys? We have buyers stepping in 2 days in a row. Daily RSI is hinging up off of oversold territory. People like to tell me the daily RSI is not a it's not a good indicator to go off of. It's not reliable. Go back to the bear market. Guys, we're not in the bear market yet. All right, it's not like that right now. And I know things have been scary, but I personally don't think that is how things are right now. And regardless, even in the bear market, screw IWM over here. You get oversold conditions, you typically get buyers starting to step in. All right, you get buyers starting to step in. Oh, I understand. It's crap. You built out your divergence over there, right over there, and then you got your pop. Oversold? Oh, that was the bottom. Oversold? Oh, you know, it took some time. All right, but you literally carved out a month-long bottom over here before you just started rallying. So bear market or not, I don't care. It is literally an indicator that you very well can use to time bottoms. I may be early to the party, but regardless, we are right here on the 200 DMA, right here at the bottom of the range. And your daily RSI, oh, did it get oversold at the bottom over here? Yeah, it was at 31. Pretty close to me. All right, moving on over here to DIA. We're just going to come over here weekly time frame. Do you see that lower wick? Well, if you pop up over here into the end of the week, that's not going to look bad at all. You're getting buyers stepping in from the golden pocket. You get over the zone, get over 433.20, probably going to get a move to 438.70. All right, the MAGS ETF, something also. Big break and retest, daily bullish divergence sitting over here. Where? Right off your 200 DMA that's sitting right here and your break and retest level at 49.96. I don't know why people were ultra bearish. You know, I've been getting flamed every single video. I just keep blocking like 5 people a fucking video. I don't really want to do it anymore. I want to let these people stay up, but you know, in reality, I don't want to see this crap. I know for a fact, because I've done this for years now. Yeah, if I don't block people, they come back every single video. All right, or every other video. Point is, they don't stop coming back. I don't want to see the negativity. I'm going to be completely honest. I think it's already a negative space. My channel will not have that. But yeah, right here, guys, you are hitting it with the break and retest. This is all the MAG 7 stocks. And then you come over here to the MAG 7 stocks. And how are we looking? Sexy. All right, now let's look at Mr. VIX, guys, on these spikes. Once we typically start selling off here, once the daily RSI is overbought, that is typically where you start getting your VIX crush from. I'm not saying that's going to happen, all right? But we probably are going to see VIX come down quite a bit here, at least to 1950. To really see this market accelerate towards, you know, they get the bigger bounce I'm talking about, like a big bounce, like maybe all-time highs and everything, you need to see VIX lose 18. You absolutely need to see it. Because if not, you still have a constructive chart here. Let's say you come down to 1950 over the coming, you know, next week. All right. You set yourself up for, you know, the potential to do something like that. And then you break out of 28.32 and everyone craps their pants again. You're like, oh my God, everyone's dying. But that's the scenario I talked about where you get this bounce and then it gets sold down to SPY's 200 DMA there. It undercuts it by, you know, maybe 2% there. And then everyone loses their freaking minds again and you just get another opportunity. Now, this time, if that becomes the case, your boy is going to be poised to take advantage of that. So I'm excited if that happens, but it is what it is. I will deal with whatever the market gives me. I will trade that. All right, so that is VIX over there. We went over the indices. We're going to come over here to the MAG 7 stocks. Tesla, guys. Now, Tesla isn't my favorite. I'm going to be completely honest. You are right around the 200 DMA. You do have the second close underneath it. All right, you do also have the bullish divergence here on the daily time frame. You're right here, break and retest level, 271. And why is my Tesla my favorite right now? Because honestly, I don't know if it's going to be getting, you know, as an aggressive bounce with the market when most of the world is hating on Trump and Elon right now. All right. I don't know if the sales of Tesla is actually declining, stuff like that, but I've been seeing it on Twitter and it's believable. All right. It's completely believable considering, yeah, you know, he's kind of the guy that's disrupting the whole entire world right now and how, you know, just every country is freaking run. Everybody has to succumb to these guys and they don't want to. So I'm just going to say, I don't know if this is going to get as an aggressive bounce as I was originally thinking it would, but I do think 326.59 is going to be tested still. So definitely think that is going to be the case, and I can see it. You have a big break and retest going on here. You have a 0.618 fib. You have the weekly 200 moving average right here. And daily RSI has that bullish divergence sitting down here after not only hitting oversold territory once, but twice. And now you're putting in the divergence. It's very likely going to get a pop. Break above 299.29. We're talking 326.59 in the short term. That is something that I can see. Meta, I already shared this chart over here. You came down to the 0.618 fib, almost tapped it, picture perfect. Daily RSI at the low over here, I was paying attention to it. You were sitting down here over by 34. This thing's looking pretty gnarly. You bounced off of the weekly 21 EMA, and if you can close the week above where you are, or, you know, preferably up near 675, this thing is probably going to be bouncing back over the coming weeks. You're probably going to get a move back to 710.79 to 740.91. I'm not going to say which one because I don't know if the market's moving back to all-time highs with what just happened. Keep in mind, tariffs are coming in a month, so the market can forget about all this crap that just happened and then bounce, and then, you know, maybe 3 weeks to 4 weeks goes by, and oh, the market starts crapping its pants again. Absolutely no idea how that's going to go, but I imagine that is how that would play out considering what we just saw. Amazon with the big old weekly hammer candlestick. 2 weekly hammer candlesticks in a row. We're going to take that bad boy off. You're coming up to 225.86. That is the target over here. That is Henry Boy's target over here. Big break and retest off the 201.20. Test of the 200 DMA. Daily bullish divergence on the RSI. At the low over here, your RSI did come down to where you bounced from last time. 26, you know, over there by 26, right over there. Yeah, I think this thing could get going. Get above 215.90. Expect rejection there because you're going to have the short-term moving averages, and that's where you broke down over here. You already confirmed that level as well, so it's going to be a big one. Get above there, though, 215.90, and we are going to be talking 225.86. Goog also bounced it back, and what do we have? We have another weekly hammer candlestick. I told you at the beginning of the video, I don't want to sound any more, you know, bullish than I already thinking I am. I don't want to be a perma bull here. Because I have been saying, you know, a bottom is coming for the past week or so, and it has continued going lower up until yesterday. I was like, guys, I'm pretty sure now. Okay, I've been saying, you know, there's a possibility, you know, it's probable, but now I'm just saying I am pretty sure a bottom is in as of the move we had yesterday. That is what I was, you know, I made the video early just for that reason to, you know, share that. And I do think that is still the case. Okay, you came down, you were under the 200 DMA, but I see a clear move up to 183.79 over here. That is where you are going to probably get sellers stepping in. I don't think this is looking as good as some of the other ones, but you are bouncing back in the golden pocket here. But you can also see this monthly candle. What the heck is that? I mean, honestly, a lot of things have ugly monthly candles here, but Goog is probably one of the worst ones over here, all right? So you're still in the, you're holding the range over here. It's not looking so bad. I don't think Meta's looking so bad. Yeah, not looking so bad. You had a topping tail, but, you know, we've had topping tails before over here on Meta. They've been faded. So we'll see what happens over there. I'm watching the weekly chart, like I was just pointing out. But yeah, I mean, I think everything that we're going over here in today's video is probably going to be participating in this overall broad market bounce back. So that's that. Microsoft, I already pointed this one out. You swept the low over here, 385.58 low. Daily RSI was oversold. You're dancing around here for a little while, and now it does look pretty appealing here. I'm gonna just get rid of all this crap here. All right, all of the crap, all of it, and I'm gonna say this is your zone that you're paying attention to right here, 405.57 to 410.29. If you can get above 410.29, you probably come up to 419.31. No reason to clutter the chart right now. So that is what we're going to be paying attention to. But I know you're coming into resistance, but weekly hammer candlestick, we typically do see these followed by a move up. And that is that. Apple over here, guys, not the prettiest thing by any means, but it is doing a thing. You have buyers defending the same spot down here, which does tell me you are probably going to be getting buyers, you know, supporting price back up here to 244.03, and above 244.03, we're going to be watching 250. Above 250, you're watching 260.10. This is Apple. Moving on to the semiconductors, guys. Came down here into the golden pocket. What do we have? Another weekly hammer candlestick. It really is going to depend on how we close out the week, but I do think it is extremely likely. What the heck we just got, and now, the reason we sold off, it's now being postponed a whole month. Yeah, I think it's extremely likely that a bottom is in for the time being, and we're going to rally over the next 1 to 2 weeks. So it's possible you get down there and sell into the end of the week, but I don't think it's probable by any means. Okay. You're in the golden pocket. You're watching 237. Right there, you have short-term moving averages as well as the range you just broke down from. It's going to be a big spot. Thinking if you get above there, you're gonna come up here into the middle there at around 240, 247-ish. There's that. Coming over here, big boy Nvidia. What do we got over here? Another weekly hammer candlestick. We're gonna have to see how it closes out. But daily RSI did hit that spot where I think it's at this point the last 10 times. We have a 1, we have a 2, we have a 3, we have a 4, we have a 5, we have a 6, we have a 7, we have an 8, we have a 9. We're going to call it, 9 times over there. 10, 11, all right, 12. 12 times so far. 12 times, all right, over the past 2 years that this has supported this condition. 10% move over the next 1 to 2 weeks. I'm not saying that's going to happen with Nvidia, but I think it's very likely that that's going to happen with Nvidia. That would be this low. Technically, it's from the low that, was put in there. We're going to be conservative. Just say here, I do think we're going to make our way up to, at least 121. Probably happen this week. But if that happens this week and you close out like this, I imagine you're going to get a bit more of a pop. So I do think you're probably going to come up here and test the golden pocket on this move. You're going to have the 200 sitting right up here, along with all your short-term moving averages. That is right around your supply zone. You had this, range you broke down from, right? You covered it. You lost it over there. Regardless, we get reactions in here. 127.67 to 131.26. 127.67, this is somewhere where I think is going to be tested over here in Nvidia in the short term. If the market's bouncing back, King Nvidia is not going to sell. It can. It's very, very unlikely to happen. It's just how the market has behaved for a very long time now. AVGO, earnings tomorrow after the bell. I think you're probably going to get a gap up. You did have our MRVL, Marvell, over here, Marvell Technologies. You did end up selling quite a bit off of your earnings over here, even though you had a similar setup. Very similar setup. Now, if you look at the earnings, they did guide down. All right. So, the next 2 quarters, they guided down. That is not, that is most likely what caused this. They did beat over here. I personally don't think AVGO is going to do that. And I'm also going to say I have not been tracking Marvell, MRVL, for the past year. I have not been doing so, and I have not been trading it. I don't know how it moves. But I'll tell you, at a break and retest, and AVGO over here has the sexy break and retest, golden pocket test from this whole move up, and the daily RSI is in the same spot that we get a 10% bounce. Yeah, I think it's probably going to happen. You already got your 9%. We're going to call it there. All right. Don't got to be picture perfect. You got 9% from this low over here. Last time this area was, tested over here on the daily RSI. This time, then you sold. This time around, you got almost down to oversold territory. You bounced off the 200 DMA as well as your 185.16 break and retest level. You're currently down in the after hours here. We're going to have to see how you open up tomorrow. I personally think this is going to, get a decent sized gap up here. How big? That's anyone's guess. Anyone's guess. But I'll tell you right now, this is a setup that I think is worth paying attention to. This is a setup that's, if we didn't have earnings over here, I would just expect it to do something like this over the next week. But we have earnings. I wish we honestly didn't have earnings so I could just see, this thing move organically. But at the same time, the earnings is probably going to be the catalyst to get this thing back up. Last time you did have a $30 gap up off earnings, and then over that week you had a $70 move, but that day you had just about a $50 move. I'm not saying that happens because that's like over a 20% move at that point, like a very, very big move there. But that would, bring you up here. We'll just say 15% to 20. 20%, you're coming all the way up here to 230. If you have the same move you had back then, 24%, that would bring you all the way up here. And then over the coming days, over the coming day probably, you would have another move. All right. That was 36%. I don't think you have that. I don't think you get all that, but I am very open to being surprised. very open. All right, and this is one that I am going to hold through earnings over here. So wish me luck. That's AVGO. I think get going over here. Coming over here, SMCI, showing the weakness today. Not one that I would be focusing on. I personally would not be focusing on this, okay? ARM, it's kind of just consolidating over here. Has a similar look to what Nvidia and AVGO did today. You swept over here, 123.11, and I do have to assume you're about to come back up here. That's this trend line right up here, which is by the 200 DMA as well as your short-term moving averages. That would be around 140. AMD. You know what? Stop talking about AMD. I also don't even want to talk about MU. It's not one I want to cover. TSM we're going to jump to. TSM almost came down to the 0.618 fib over here from this whole most recent move up. I said it was very likely going to get bought up down there. I know things look really ugly, but you had a lot of things coming together that, you know, unless the market is going to crash, I didn't think things were going to continue much further. They definitely did go further than I thought. So I will take that one on the chin, and it is what it is. Sucks. You move forward. All right. If you're a market participant and you plan on staying a market participant, you're going to freaking move forward. All right. You want to get stuck up in the past and be a pussy? Then so be it. But you're going to be a pussy on the sidelines. You're not going to be a market participant. You're not going to stay in the game. All right. Weekly hammer candlestick so far over here. I think if you, if you are to close out like this or close out above 187.67, this thing's probably going to next week test 197.46. That is going to be around these short-term weekly moving averages. You haven't been underneath those in quite some time. I know it looks good, but that is definitely going to be a hump of resistance right there. So that is something where you should expect sellers there. And that is that. All right. Now coming over to the sector that I think it is in our best interest to focus on right now. Now, Bitcoin over here, we have a digital assets reserve coming into play here. It got announced the other day. Bitcoin had the move, digested the move, and then is getting the move again, similar to that MSTR chart over there. You now have 2 lower weekly wicks. You will have 4 more days over here. So this weekly candle goes out on Sunday. I don't know exactly how this week is going to, play out over here. I don't know how we're going to close out the week, but I am going to point out how the stocks are looking. And if that is going to give us a hint to Bitcoin's action, yeah, I think it's going to be bullish. You have Michael Saylor on Friday speaking at I think it's just called the Digital Assets Summit. Is that what it's called? Either way, it's like this conference that's going on. I think it's at the White House. Trump asked Michael Saylor to speak personally. I'm just going to say book value. I pointed out during this consolidation here of its holdings. It was getting very close to the market cap. You had like $40 billion in Bitcoin at this price, guys. At Bitcoin being down here, okay? If Bitcoin being down here, you are within $10 billion of the market cap to Bitcoin holding value. That was a recipe for a pump. I know people like to hate MSTR, and I know your boy is early to a lot of these things. I definitely am. I guarantee it. I am working on it. I will continuously work on it, and it is what it is. No one's going to be perfect, but over time, I'm gonna try and be as perfect as possible. All right. I guarantee Henry 5 years down the line, it's going to be a lot better than Henry right now. Just like Henry right now was a whole lot better than Henry 5 years ago. Henry was a noob 5 years ago, first year. But over here, guys, you're right here at the trend line. So this is actually the exact move that I was calling out over here. I thought we were going to see a move up to $300. And a shameless plug here, guys. Go follow the Twitter. This is somewhere I am going to be posting at least 3 charts a day. Could be more, could be not less, but it could be more. Over here, free content. Put on post notifications. I will not waste your time. These are all going to be things that these are all setups that I think are going to be outperforming others, and they are things for you to potentially make money on. If you want access to that, it is completely free. Just hit the link down below. Go over to Twitter, hit the follow button, and then put post notifications on, which should be somewhere over here. And that means you'll get a little alert on your phone every single time that I post a nice chart. So today's chart's over here at BABA. We're going to talk about BABA after this over here, guys. I think 160 is coming in probably coming 1 to 2 weeks, probably next week. 321 calls, those can pay over there. We'll talk about that trade idea after we talk about the Bitcoin stocks over here, okay? So MSTR, break this upper trend line, break above 322.30. I think this really can start to move up to 350-ish, and then above there, 400, guys. But I personally don't like that. The higher this thing goes up, the higher Bitcoin it's pricing in, the higher priced Bitcoin. At highs, it was pricing in, it was like a 200, 250K Bitcoin. And I don't remember exactly what it was, but I remember saying, this is freaking crazy. Why would someone know? I don't think it's going to happen with what was going on. And you also have the most bullish news you possibly have right now for Bitcoin. This is what, the whole, this thing, all right, the speculation, we're getting the actual catalyst here that all of that was for. Like, it was going to be the digital asset of the future. Oh, everyone's going to be buying it. Governments are eventually going to be buying it. Well, now the U.S. is, just announced they're going to start buying it. And it really didn't hold the move. Okay, so I do think we're going to get a bounce over here on Bitcoin, but I don't think anything crazy is going to happen. And I could be wrong. I've definitely been wrong in the past. I was wrong this past week. All right, this whole move, I could have played it much better. And, I'm ashamed of that. But at the same time, like I said, you can only move forward, and it is what it is. All right, but over here, MSTR, I think we could see the move up to 356 around there. And the one that I am going to be focusing on, I've already played MSTR, but now I am going to be focusing on this guy right over here, Coinbase. All right, Coinbase is in the golden pocket. You have a daily bullish divergence on the RSI, and bullish divergence on the daily RSI, I should say. In the golden pocket, you got this broadening bottom, descending broadening wedge formation you got going on there. And then you also have this weekly hammer candlestick. If you get the pop that I'm thinking you're going to get into end of week here up to 240, then this is going to be a very sick weekly candlestick. And I think that is enough to get you up to 265. 321 calls, they go 100%. The 240C, they go 100% on a move to 240. From 220 on a $20 move, and they will go 200% on the move to 260. So that is what I'm going to be paying attention to / playing. I currently have a lotto position open. I only got 2 calls just because I heard about that conference. I was like, this thing's probably going to pump. But now after close today, I'm really just reviewing the charts. I'm seeing, what right now is looking the best out of everything. And I think I'm going to shift my, a lot of my focus over here to Coinbase. I think this thing is getting ready for a pump. I think we're probably coming up here. All right. Now, as far as like the miners go, I don't like focusing on them. If you're not new to the channel, then I don't like focusing on the miners. I don't think they, I think they have been very skewed with price action compared to Bitcoin. I don't like it. Coinbase, Coin, and MSTR, MicroStrategy, those are the 2 tickers that I would be focusing on. But something like CLSK over here, am I going to say this looks bad? No, you're probably going to pop up here above 10 bucks. All right, you come over here tomorrow, and this is also something with 2 back-to-back hammer candlesticks on the weekly. Yeah, it's probably going to be getting a pop here. All right, you're probably going to get somewhere up there. Am I going to be focusing on it? No, I told you what to focus on Coin, and I told you about this move before it happens. I know, sometimes I'm early. It is what it is. It's okay. I told you about it on this day right here, actually. And then it faded the next day. I was like, oh my God. And then the next day it started going. And the next day I had a really big move. Sold for a 50% loss over here. And I ended up taking some back off of that 2 days later. And yeah, I got to sell that. It was a lot of size position though. So I was still a little salty about it. But this right here, this is the setup that has not gone yet that I'm going to be focusing on. Okay. Coinbase. Now, Henry's trade ideas. First one, we're going to talk about BABA. All right, you see the yellow brick road, follow the yellow brick road. Break and retest off of 125.84. You broke out of the, a very big base here. I think it's a 3-year base we got going on here. 3 years of base of straight up range. You just broke out of that. You're gonna get an equivalent move that's $59. That would be you moving all the way up here to 180. I think we're probably going to see 160, 114 in the short term. And I think 182 can come over the coming few weeks. That is what I am thinking over here. But yeah, very clearly have a break and retest off of 125.84. And then you could see on the daily time frame, I'm not going to call this a flag, but you have this bullish consolidation going on here, right? Reversion to the mean. Pop above 145.30. I think you can see a very quick move up to 161. Considering we just got this and now China is introducing stimulus back into their economy over there, I think Bob is about to make a move. All right, you have China stocks just kind of doing a little thing. Let's actually see how NEO's moving right now. Yeah, NEO's one I used to watch, and I remember I had this wedge I was paying attention to. Break and retest. Don't play NEO. What do you want to play? BABA. All right, BABA is the one to be focusing on right there. In my personal opinion, out of all the China stocks, this is what I would be focusing on, and I will be paying attention over the coming trading sessions and potentially taking a position tomorrow. A pullback. Well, we will see. All right. You break above here, you get a pullback. I think it's going to be an entry for a move up to 161.14. All right. Smaller size because we didn't get in, on the actual pullback here. We're riding that momentum here if it comes and continues. So, it's safer that way. But moving on, PLTR. PLTR, weekly hammer candlestick off of weekly 21, golden pocket, and your 84.80 break and retest level. You had buyers stepping in 2 weeks in a row off that level. I think they're going to defend it, and I think you're probably one to push back up here to the zone, 95.80 to 99.32. I think that's coming. But at the same time, if you get up there, you're going to be above the short-term moving average. I think you're probably going to at least test the golden pocket up here. I think you're going higher. Could be going up to new highs. Absolutely no idea. Pretty drastic move down here. So I would guess you're probably just going to revert back to the mean, get back in the middle here. That's what I'm thinking over there on PLTR. RK, 200 DMA test. Break and retest off of, what do we have again? Oh, 2 to 3 year base, just like BABA. All right. Same exact look. Same exact look, except I would argue better. Do I think it's going to move better than BABA? No. That is also something to take note of, okay? But I definitely do like the setup over here, and you have buyers defending this 51.33 to 53.86 zone 2 weeks in a row here. Probably something that's going to start getting buyers. If you could break above 57.70, where's that level right there? Right there. I think you're probably going to start getting your move back up here to these highs, above 63 bucks. So that's something that I'm going to be paying attention to over there. Next one, guys, Hood was a leader on this whole move. Probably going to go back to being a leader. You're getting buyers defending the weekly 21. This is the exact spot. You have 2 weeks in a row. This is the exact spot I pointed out. I'm not always perfect, but we do cover a lot of tickers, and there's definitely some gems in here for you to take advantage of. And you don't have to, you don't have to follow me in, blindly into anything, guys. We cover a lot of tickers. There's a lot of continuous setups that we call out here and pay attention to and track. Just, pick your favorites. Do not just blindly follow me. Please don't. It's not always going to work. Do not just blindly rely on someone online. It's not ever going to work. You're going to need to develop your own intuition. You're going to need to develop your own skill set as a trader. I will just tell you what's looking hot and, continuously what's setting up. And you can take your pick. Throughout this video, we've talked about 20 to 30 tickers already, and you can take your pick. That's Hood. I do think you're probably going to start popping back up the highs over here. Get above these short-term weekly moving averages. That's when I think you get a golden pocket test in you. And that's all the way up here at 57.50. Cost has earnings tomorrow. I saw this on Twitter. Well, I didn't see the idea on Twitter. I've been calling this idea since we're all the way down here. And then we broke out, and I was calling for a move up to 1,100. And then you started pulling back. And I'm still calling for the move to 1,100, right? So the idea is mine. But the options flow. I think I saw something on Twitter today that this had the most flow in the whole market today. I don't know if that's true or not. I can't imagine that being true, but I do imagine this is probably going to be getting a move up. I'm not saying it happens off of earnings because most of these earnings crush the stock, but I do think after earnings, you then continue grinding higher into new highs. That's cost. ASTS, I gave you this before it broke out over here, literally right over here. Then I gave it to you somewhere in this mess, probably right over here. And then I started putting it on your radar again over here, I think in the last video. This thing is now heading up to new all-time highs. 39.08 is incoming. Not saying it goes straight up there. You could very well get something like this where you come up, pull back for a day or two, and then you go up like that. But we can very clearly see what's going on here. Let's just get rid of the clutter, get rid of even golden pocket there. You had the bull flag. Let's get rid of the bull flag. And you could see very clearly you retested your weekly moving averages here. You got under them, you reclaimed them, tested them, and now you're pushing up to highs. This is looking very nice. And personally, I wish I just focused on this setup the whole entire time. It would have been a good time. But, that wouldn't have taught me anything. And I think that is much more important than, making short-term money. Because what use is it if you, can't become the better trader, the best trader you possibly can be moving forward? All right? Because chances are, mistakes, if you're learning lessons, eventually you would have learned the lessons. And wouldn't you have rather learned them earlier? I personally would have. That probably means I'm going to have less capital at the time than if I, were to learn these lessons a year or two from now. That's just how it works as you advance. ACHR, specifically just the weekly time frame over here. I don't like that daily chart, but I definitely like what's shaping up over here on the weekly time frame. I think this will take time to develop, but I do think it's probably going to get back up to highs over here and break above 1248. But you are retesting that weekly 21 over here, as well as your 749 breakout level right there. 2 weeks in a row finding buyers there. Not a bad look. LRCX, break and retest off of this falling wedge. You also have a golden pocket test. And we did point out the other day that you had a $10 million order over here come in. Get above 70, 60, above these short-term moving averages, that would be, which, we'll just say get above 80 bucks. Things probably going to start pushing back up to 86.32 in my personal opinion. You can stop there. You have the golden pocket, but I think it's more likely that you're going to start that move up to 96 with how this weekly chart is shaping up. We'll see. All right, get up here. You got to digest it. Okay, you have a lot of consolidation going on. You could see a lot of action, a lot of battles going on here. So I assume that battle would continue if you come back into that 86.32 level. Uber finally pulled back after this big rip over here, and you are putting in a hammer candlestick over here on the weekly. I do think you are probably going to be advancing up to new highs after this pullback is done. That is the move I thought was happening before, and you've pulled back and you are consolidating this, relatively bullish manner here. And I can very clearly see if you break above 81.25, you're probably going to head straight to 87 bucks. That is Uber. You over here, guys, weekly time frame, that is what we're going to pay attention to. Came down to the golden pocket from this most recent advance. Found buyers there. You got the weekly 21 and the weekly 9s in there, short-term moving averages, and you have this nice dragonfly doji looking candlestick, hammer candlestick, whatever you want to call this. It has a nice long lower wick going on. I do have to assume you're going to continue higher with how this closed out, and that would mean that weekly candlestick does turn into a proper hammer, and you close somewhere over here. You got a little body to you, and then you're probably going to continue higher the following week, just like you printed that over here. You went way higher the next week. Not saying that happens because that was a move off of earnings, but I definitely see the setup over here loading. Netflix, I'm just going to cover it because I know a lot of you guys are trading this bad boy over here. You have the weekly bearish divergence. I do think this is, if the overall market behaves over here, this thing has potential to head back up to the highs pretty quick. It didn't really fall too far off of the highs. If you pop above 999, I think you probably get a quick move up to 1,032. And above there, 1,064. LLY. It's taken its dear sweet time, but I do think the grind up to 972.48 all-time highs is going to continue. Break above 935.63, you're watching 972.48. Last one I'm going to call out here is XYZ. And again, this is because I know a lot of you guys are trading it. I've gotten some questions about it on Twitter and stuff like that. So I will include it. I told you guys over here that I thought there was going to be a time when this thing builds out of divergence, just like it did over here. And that could take, a good amount of time. But from there, I think we're going to get a decent sized bounce. What happened now, guys? We have that divergence stemming right from 59.20 support. And I think you're probably going to start getting a bounce back. You're going to need to reclaim the daily 9 over here. Get above 66.76. And then you really could start your rebound here. You've fallen off a cliff. Absolutely off a cliff, 30% there. So what is a 23% move? It's not much. Okay, but I think this thing is probably going to start turning around. It's not one that I'm going to be focusing on, but I did, when I was doing my scan today, I did notice, it did print that daily bullish divergence that I told you guys it's best to wait for, and we will get our chance to play it. It just wasn't then. Well, I'm not going to be playing it, but it is there now. So we're probably going to be getting a rebound. All right, so that is what I have for you guys in today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I know things have been pretty rough All right, I understand the market has been, falling off a cliff. If you weren't positioned for that, if you weren't trading the downside and you were trying to load up on longs, or if you were sitting on your hands, maybe it was a little frustrating. I think the market's about to get a bit easier here over the next 1 to 2 weeks. I think we're probably going to be getting our retracement back up here over 600 on SPY, back over here on, probably 520 over here on QQQ. All right. With that being said, ladies and gents, I will catch y'all in the next one. Peace.